used to work at Area 51. And Area 51, God, you went like, huh?
Well, we want to be accurate.
Okay.
Area S4.
S4. Okay.
It's about 15 miles south of Area 51.
Okay.
But,
you worked in how would you describe it?
I guess within the Area 51 compound, you can call that a subset of Area 51.
Hello, YouTube. You're probably wondering to yourself, why am I wearing a helmet on my head? And why am I wearing this stupid helmet? That thing's heavy. Jesus. God damn. Where am I going with this? Right, Area 51. I'm going to tell you how to get a job there today. But most importantly, I'm going to also hopefully correct a few things that I've heard a few other YouTubers mention about Area 51. Or maybe add some to that? I don't know. I'm actually doing this intro after I filmed everything I did for the episode, so this ought to be interesting. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below. Let me know how to do it. This is a new video for me. I'm not really one much for talking in front of a camera, so sorry about the production quality. Sorry if I look away from the screen an awful lot. I have a screen right in front of me. I have a screen up here, screen here, and a screen here. So one might say... Actually, I don't know what one might say. I'm kind of delaying this. So let's just get into the video, folks. This one's actually a good one. Alright, we're gonna go get ourselves a job at Area 51. How do we do that? Well, we got a few options. We got actually a lot of options. A lot of companies moving in and out of that particular lovely base in the middle of nowhere, Nevada. Let's take a look at what kind of first came up, which is how to move to Groom Lake, Nevada and get a job at Area 51. We're going to read this. Deep in the heartland of the desert in Nevada, an offshoot of the Edwards Air Force Base exists as the Nevada Test Site and Training Range, located partially in Groom Lake. The location is remote and spacious, making it perfect for the military to conduct testing of many types of aircraft, so they do. And it's operated by 5 men and women of the U.S. Air Force. At least that's what they want you to believe. Cue the spooky music. We all have our opinions, but Area 51 is totally hiding something. From the remote location to secretive testing and abnormal amount of activity surrounding the place, there may or may not be aliens on the premises. But there are definitely many juicy secrets. And that actually is true. Area 51 is one of those weird places where, regardless of what you think about Area 51, there's actually not really a whole lot that you're missing from the story. I mean, they built in 1955 to basically, well, the base itself, I think, was built in 1955 because they were using the whole Nevada test range prior to that. And I think during 1945 for the nuclear testing, as when they dropped the bomb twice on Japan. But alright. We're back to this. Yada yada yada. Secrets. You get the drift. How to work at Area 51. This is interesting. Let's see if they get anything right here. Because, for most jobs, if you work hard, build a resume, make connections, and apply, you too may soon find yourself with a great job opportunity. To get into Area 51, however, you're going to need all of that and a whole lot more. Really. It's not as if you can just waltz into Area 51. And we don't foresee many, if any, job postings coming up for this secretive facility. To be employed at one of the most guarded areas in the world, you're going to need to showcase some skills. The ability to keep a secret, and frankly, just get lucky to some degree. Here are some grateful, helpful tips. This is what mybaseguide.com says. Which, I mean, not everything is known about the criteria for working at Area 51. That's false. We're going to get into that later. But one of the first things you'll need to know is that working in the facilities is off limits unless you're a U.S. citizen. That's kind of half false. We'll talk about that actually right now because there's been many accurate reports that other countries have come and tested stuff there as well. Probably NATO for the broadest example, but also the Soviet Union during the time of back and forth. There had been Soviet scientists that come to the Nevada test range itself, which I kind of don't want to lump Area 51 together with the Nevada test range, although it's kind of impossible not to, considering it's probably the most important, part of the facility. That and Tonopah. We'll talk about Tonopah. We'll talk about Tonopah later, but this is basically what we have now. So obviously you can, non-citizens are not eligible for employment here. That's kind of half true. I'm sure that Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, all them, they have offices there. I'm sure if you were a Raytheon employee that lived in Spain and you were only a Spain citizen, obviously you could probably get a contract out there. Most of that stuff is contract work, and like anything government, dealing with the government, is most likely going to be contract work to some degree. It's up to those individual companies that are through there, like EG&G back in the day, who is very synonymous with Area 51. If you got a job working for EG&G, you could, theoretically, through just working through the ranks, get a job there. It's probably actually easier. You probably don't hear a lot of people because they really do kind of keep true to that. This is top secret stuff we're working on. You may not be working on UFOs, but you definitely, like the U-2 project, the SR-71, the F-117, or, the stealth fighter, the F-22, all that stuff was most likely at some point, if not developed, but tested there. And the U-2 and the SR-71, we know for sure was developed and tested there. The F-117, I think they built them. I think they built the first few ones there. I can't remember if they built them there or if they also tested, because I know that they're currently, a lot of them are being stored over at Tonopah. They have a lot of hangars there as well, but not as impressive as Area 51 with the way their hangars are. Let's see, what else? Obviously, you're going to go through a background check. Any blemish for reason for just basically, it's the same as applying for any job. If you lie on your job application and they find out, chances are you're probably not going to get a job there. That goes without saying. You can pursue a career that can get you involved in the operations of Groom Lake. This means finding a job in the world of aerospace, engineering, or technology. Being a skilled pilot can also help, as there is a need for test pilots. Yeah, that's true. There is actually a need for test pilots. Depending on the aircraft you get into, you might not want to take up that job. I mean, can you just imagine, like, the U-2 plane? I think that's, like, one of the only planes out there that it really has like 2 wheels. And it's like one set in the front and then another set in the back, and that's just it. They have to try to balance it. I think. Don't hold me to that. I like planes. I'm just not an aerospace. I'm not an airplane fanatic. So I don't know. But obviously, if you were a very skilled pilot, you could probably get a job there. And if you were a skilled pilot, you probably wouldn't need to be looking for a job. Just saying. Living in or near Las Vegas, Nevada doesn't hurt. There are some ex-employees that expressed that they lived in the area, which may have played a role in helping them secure employment. That's not necessarily true either. Yes, your base, where's the office of which you're working out of. If you see, like, Raytheon has got, like, a bunch of jobs listed for Las Vegas, obviously, you're going to be getting on the Janet flights out of the airport and then go to work at Area 51, most likely on a weird rotation schedule where you'll be out there living on base for probably like a week or 2, probably 3 weeks, maybe even longer. It just depends on what's stated in your contract. I think Bob Lazar mentioned that he had a schedule where he was out there for like a week or 2 and then gets like a week off or something like that. Like I said, I'm not really sure how that works. I'm sure that each specific job area has very specific criteria, as most things in the government are. And that's probably another thing. Probably a lot of paperwork involved. Do you really want a job that's just probably 80% filling out forms every day? Because I know I don't. Let's see, what else do we got? On paper is a simple career path, yada yada yada. What is Janet Airlines? We already know what Janet Airlines is. Well, most of us should. But what it basically is just the airline service that they use to bus people in and out. It's the quickest and easiest way. They do have a bus that goes there. I think those are probably mostly local security staff, probably. That's what I would guess. I would wager a guess that it was mostly probably some of the security staff that live around the area, or any other staff that lives around the area. Most likely just to do with the maintaining the infrastructure just of the facility itself. You got a lot of contractors going in and out, and there have been a lot of construction in the past few years. 2019 being the most recent. And of course, Janet Airlines being either just another non-existent terminal or joint air network for employee transportation. You can make you can acronym that the hell and back, but I'm almost willing to bet at this point they probably don't care. It's just been called Janet for so long that they just stay with it. And if anything, maybe it was just started up by a woman named Janet. We don't know. Aliens, we'll get into that later, but yeah, it's no secret that people think that there's aliens there, and we've had a lot of evidence coming out that helps support that. Bob Lazar definitely being one of them. I believe Bob Lazar. That's up to you if you believe him. The evidence is presented there. I'm probably not the best source to get from, but in all actuality, they did prove even years after. So he originally, I think it was like 1989, I think he mentioned element 115 and what it is and all this, the isotope. He may not have had an isotope for it, but now, back in 2019, getting into 2020 and now 2023, there's been some, they're like, well, we can't, at first I think there's like, they couldn't rule out that there's not, like, they couldn't rule out 115, so they just put a placeholder in, and then like a team from Germany or a Russian team or whoever actually proved it. A team from Germany, I think it was, that proved his element, you know, which... But then that kind of opens up, like, well, who gets credit for that? The people who actually did a lot of the work to slam those particles together, or whatever they did to get it to do that. I don't know. I mean, I've looked into it, but I'm not exactly sure of the physics behind that. I have to probably read that article again to get an accurate picture of everything. But they did prove his element, and that holds a lot of merit. You know, this was something that he said back in '89, and this is recent discovery that we're like, maybe he is telling the truth. Maybe he's not lying about the aliens. We don't know. But one thing is to know for sure is that the American public and beyond continue to search for the truth. And yeah, we do. I mean, hey, we don't like secrets. Let's see. Well, yeah, there's the SR-71 Blackbird, the U-2 project, codename Bird of Prey and codename Dragon Lady. Those are some of the aircraft, obviously, that have been tested there. And most likely, I think the SR-71, I think that was mostly, it's kind of like majority of its only base. I know U-2 is still there, and they still have the old original U-2, all the old original U-2 hangars, buildings, and other project buildings. They still have them up there. They got green roofs on them. You can look up on Google Maps, which... So, you know, yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, working there is probably not going to be the best thing. They don't really actually tell you. They just kind of like... This website really is just like... Oh, yes, it's a place in the desert, and if you move to Las Vegas, it might help you. No, it doesn't. This is a company that pulls people from all over the country for whatever reason, you know, or this, not the company, but Raytheon, even back in old EG&G days, they obviously are gonna bring in who they want, you know, for a specific project. Obviously. And even the way that Bob Lazar kind of puts it, you know, he talked to us, like somebody talked, is like, hey man, if you call this number, you know, if you talk to this dude, you know, I'll vouch for you if you want to get a job here. You know, that's sort of, I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing, you know, like people, you know, that nepotism thing, it's very big in the government. So, obviously, if you know somebody, they can help get you in. And like I said, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think it really kind of boils, you know, especially in today's modern climate. I don't know if it really boils down to if you actually have the skill to do it or not. I mean, hell, you could, like Bob Lazar, he was building jet engines in his backyard. But did the government come knocking on his door? Well, I'm sure the local police probably didn't really appreciate him having a little mini jet engine on a bicycle. Of course, then again, is that really a crime? Not really. I wouldn't really consider it a crime. Today's modern world, anything's possible. But, yeah. So, alright, yeah, so, yeah, just, I like how these, like, rising through the ranks may help you make a name for yourself. This is probably the place where making a name for yourself won't help you. And that being said, right, these little green buildings right here, that's the old U-2 plane hangars. So, you know, they had all the different hangars for moving the plane around, moving various planes around, or housing planes just for testing. And then they built these ones. I think these were I think it was two of them originally, and then they built the other two. And then they added all this stuff here. They got, I think security for the base has a helicopter here for their quick response. They got some Blackhawks. Or at least some Sikorsky, because I think Sikorsky also has an office here. Sikorsky? I think they also have an office here, but this is part of the Air Force. I think this is part of the Air Force's, they have helicopters if they need to medevac somebody or if they need something moved and they don't really feel like waiting for a plane. Obviously, helicopters. One thing I do find interesting, it sets itself apart from a lot of other Air Force bases, are like these, like, hangars that are kind of like off these taxiways. And you see the old runway, they don't use that very much anymore. They've got these little X's on them. That's just basically saying, hey, don't use that runway. Use the much nicer, more kept runway. So they only have the one runway there. Then over here we have the control tower. You can see the shadow it's cast in there. A lot of these shadows, it was kind of, I guess, later in the day, or earlier in the day. And then you come down here, and then you have this project over here. This is like an underground wires. More underground wires, pipes, just basic infrastructure. Nothing too serial about that. I think part of, let's see, I think it was Dreamland Resort talks about those quite a bit. The latest photos, which I think the latest one we have is here, 2011. And, alright, so, yeah, this is the latest actual factual information. I mean, so we got the runways, the old U2 hangars here. I mean, like, there's a lot of projects going on. Now, there's like a new bigger, or a larger hangar off over here. Sorry about that. But yeah, so now we got like all these new buildings. This website here, Dreamland, they really they go in depth about a lot of stuff that is being put up. So like this new hangar, it's built far south end, which is further. Obviously this was the older part of this particular hangar, and then they added these two parts here. That's just a if they need to quickly just get it off the runway and get it into a hangar for whatever reason. That's usually what those are probably mostly for. So like if they were actively running tests maybe in the daytime, or if they were actively running a lot of tests, they could house it in the daytime and then take it out at night. Or if they need to put it away real fast, like there's something going on, they can move it out of the way. And then we got another roll through hangar here. I think that's what they call them, roll through hangars. Basically just right off the taxiway, roll it in there, park it for the day, and the next day you obviously would take it out and go fly about. Oh crap, where is it? Oh, here it is. It's up here. This is mostly Lockheed Martin right here, so I think this is Lockheed Martin's newest building, or at least, you know, this is new. Well, some of these are new, or some of these other buildings. There's a lot of new stuff going up, so you can kind of tell. Like, so these building, or this building up here was being worked on. I believe this one was being worked on. Like I said, this is new. These down here, they're at least new from at least the oldest pictures that we had. This one is the newest. You can see it just is down here. It's separate from everything else. I kind of want to make an educated guess. It's probably one of Raytheon's hangars. I'm assuming that they lease a lot of space out, so it's just, you know, and then you have over here, you got all the barracks, to go back to the basic thing. So this is like, one of these buildings I know is like the main employee mess hall. There's like a mess hall or something, a bunch of shops and stuff that you could probably go to. Of course, the baseball field and other services. Probably employee onboarding and just basic other extra governmental stuff. It looks like they're building some new barracks here, so they're adding on, or maybe they're replacing some of the. So some of these buildings are probably some of the originals that they've built. So obviously they're going to want to, you know, fix them up. And we have, I think, the smaller building here. All right, one of these is the photo lab. I think, well, this is the old admin, this is the admin building. Because the old admin building is here. I think the old, oh, man, I can't even remember anymore. But I do know that here's the Janet terminal. So that's the Janet terminal in all of its buildings. So if you're flying in and out, most likely your first stop is going to be here in this little buildings, these two little buildings here. And then you have, I think this one right here is the photo lab. It's either this one or it's that one. One of these three buildings here is the photo lab. Yeah, for the high-res cameras on the SR-71. U-2 had them. Other obvious airplanes have them. So, and I think this small little building here is the headquarters building for the security on base. We'll talk about them in a minute. So that's basically, you know, and then over here you have all your relevant shipping, receiving, you know, anything that's coming into the base, storage, warehouse, maintenance facilities, everything to do with other projects that are around here, just like basic, you know, you're going to have a lot of staff coming in for engineering of new roads, you know, fixing up the roads, because I think they're paving a lot of this stuff now. That's why a lot of the camo dudes are, you've seen a few videos out on YouTube, a couple camo dudes speeding around. This right here, this obelisk that doesn't really have anything around it, I think it's mostly just an obelisk, or I think it's mostly just like a monument of some kind. And then over here is the old toxic waste dump. This is where they would just dump a whole bunch of shit they're not using. Munitions, you name it. Anything that they had there at the base, they need to get rid of. They would take it there. Sometimes it was burned, sometimes it wasn't. This was the pit where they would burn all the garbage. So there's two employees way back when that got cancer. They most likely got it from this toxic waste dump right here. And then down here is probably some more just, well, looks like a junkyard of some kind. So that's just extra storage. And you got this project going on here. Don't really know what's going on here. It'd be very interesting. Probably putting in more buildings and warehouses and. Alright, so and then you come down here. I'm going to back out a little bit because there's nothing really special about this. Is the munitions storage. So there's probably not a lot of speculation what they're hiding here at this little weird pentagon shaped sort of weird square facility. This obviously is the munitions dump, or just munitions storage in general. Probably just, you know, because this is the Nevada test range, and there are a lot of craters around, so it kind of makes a lot of sense. So, and then you got radar stations, probably radar stations. They got some pretty advanced surveillance equipment. There's like a range up north here. I think that they added some new weird looking antennas. And I think that has to do with like low line radar. So, because they got a lot of systems around here, like so much so that part of and we'll get into this here in a minute, I promise, but part of the company that contracted to secure, I think they handle somewhat with some of the systems and a lot of the tech stuff that comes in. So, I mean, why not? You have your own private army, train them to do this sort of stuff. I think the main road's over here. That's right. You kind of have to go down here and then come back north around this mountain pass, and then you're in the base. Because, like, the first place you come to is the maintenance shop and the old admin area. I want to say that's the old admin area. But you basically just come by the maintenance shop and the warehouse. But they got something else going on out here. Probably some more... I mean, they're lifting up its dirt. Who knows what they're doing out here? Only you can speculate. And then you go up further, up to the security gates themselves. If I find that road, it's somewhere over here. Because it kind of goes up on the mountain. It's almost, there's like 3 of these antenna that are lined up on the side of the mountain, just north of the base. Probably not zoomed in enough to have seen it, but it was there. Oh, here we go. The main gate. And then Rachel is further north, that way. So Rachel is this way. And then there's the gate for the base. Obviously, from video, you can see the outskirts of the gate. But you're not seeing all this new stuff that's popping up. And this is impressive stuff here, because they've got these antenna sensor radar arrays, and they have other sensor arrays. They have other antenna, just all sorts of technology. And then you have the 2 gates itself. So you got the old gate that had the old office, and then you had the new building, which is up here on Blackgate Road. I don't know if there's... I'm assuming they're working out of one of the buildings. As, staff or deliveries come in, they probably come through this particular gate. Because this seems like it's, set up for that now. So, traffic will come in, you'll stop here through the one gate, and then got a gate here. So you'll stop in here, you'll check in with the security, go through all your inspections, and make sure all your paperwork is in order. Make sure your paperwork's in order. And then, they'll open the gate. You probably, if you're a commercial driver coming in bringing stuff in, they probably have like they'll pull off to the side here, and they'll probably inspect you and all that fun stuff. So they've been building up the area. They might do away with one of the gates all completely and just use the nice newer gates. And then, like I said, they have all these extra antennas and radar and other secret things. But probably somewhere around here is probably where they have a SAM site at. They do actually have, SAM sites around. They also claim to have automated weaponry on the base. That'd be interesting to find out what they mean by that. Whether they mean is like the SAM, would that be automatic? I would think that you'd want to first confirm what you're about to fire at before you fire at it. So it might not be fully automated, but it's probably automated to the point where they sense somebody coming in way over here, or a drone that they're like, wait a minute, we don't have a drone. And they can just turn the system on, and it will track the drone, lock on to the target, and launch, which has happened. They actually shot down a drone before at the base. Probably some idiot YouTuber out here with the drone, even way over here when it's not even really technically on the property. Still, they don't want you to bring. There's a no-fly zone that is out, and there's a picture on Dreamland over here somewhere. Flying drones around Area 51. This is important. Right here here's the base, right down here. Rachel is up here. Like, right up here, extraterrestrial highway, and kind of right around here. And then this is the main road. Before you even get up to the first gate, or no, this is Groom Lake Road. That's right, I think Rachel's up here further. But, even before you get into, the first gate, which is still public land, but a no-fly zone. I mean, no drones beyond that point. If you have a drone, they will shoot it down. Like, they ain't joking around. There's videos all over YouTube about, the old, see, there's one of the signs. You got these signs all over everywhere. But, and there are actually some pretty cool shots around the area. Black Mailbox has got to be the saddest story out of Area 51. It started out as like, it was just some random rancher's mailbox. And I think that was just basically the whole story. And then he actually had to move his mailbox, I think further down the road, the post office actually, since it was just being vandalized so much. He just moved his mailbox further in so that people stopped messing with it and all that. So, you know, there was stories about it, but you go out to Nevada, there's weird shit out. I mean, there's weird shit out in the desert anywhere. But I think it always had been the ranch's mailbox, but because people make assumptions, obviously they thought, oh, it's the mailbox to the base. Never think that the government would just like bring in their own mail with the airplane. Just saying. Oh, the white bus. I think it's a Bluebird, actually. It used to be this MCI bus. I think they use a different bus now. Yeah, the most recent buses has been this Bluebird bus. You know, it just has Nevada plates on it. You know, it's just a regular old style Nevada plate. I think it's a government plate. You know, probably says U.S. government on it. Like this one. This was, I think it, yeah, this one was just a regular U.S. government plate. So, public information right there. But when it goes past the gate, you don't really know where it goes on base. It could go to Tonopah. Hell, it could go to one of the number of other buildings around. There's lots of stuff going on this patch of land. You've got, but before I talk about that, now, Bob Lazar had mentioned that S4, the building or facility that he worked at inside the mountain south of the base, I think he's mentioned a few times, it's like 15 miles or something like that. Probably a good 10-minute drive depending on how fast you're going. Or if there's a road to it at all. Sure, there's a road to it. The only place there's like nothing down here. There's these fuzzy old roads. Hell, it could be down here by Chert Ridge. But one thing I will say, because I lived in Nevada for a time. I lived in northern Nevada for a time. One thing I will say is that when someone that's not from the area says, I think it's like 15 miles. Might be further. Might be shorter. Just looking out, like, at the horizon in Nevada, you know, people say that Montana's big sky country. They got nothing on Nevada. Just because of how mountainous it is, but also just how open it is. So there's like 10 miles or more between these mountains here, Papos Mountain, and then these mountains over here. That's like 10 miles. You know, that's like, you know, it's quite the distance away. But looking down, there's really nothing directly south of the base. Now that probably is due for a reason, considering the fact that it is a runway and it runs this way. And you'll see that over at Tonopah. But, you know, obviously you're not going to want anything that could possibly, you know, if a plane were to crash, you wouldn't want people around that. You'd want to minimize the damage as much as possible, which is more than likely this is the direction they're taking off and landing from. They're not coming in from the lake, just because of the roads over here. They don't know who's, you know, I mean, I'm sure they know who's coming and going, but they don't know, like, all right, well, because they are, I think they're doing work up here as well. And then, like, right over here somewhere, if I go closer, I think right over here. Yeah. This is where those antennas are. Like, right here on the edge of the dry lake bed. This is where those antennas, I think there's more than 3 of them now. I'm looking at it. There might be more than 3 of them. I think there's 4 of them. Is it 3 or 4? It looks like there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4. And then they got the little, your electric boxes there. So they're probably drawing power from the base. And the base probably drawing power from either Vegas or a number of other power plants in the whole area. And then there's the town of Rachel. That's right. It's directly north of the base. So there's like a mat. I mean, there's massive blocks of don't fly your drones around all over this place. But looking at a lot of those maps of like airspace where you can and can't fly gets a little weird and confusing, especially in a place like this. See, here's Tonopah. This is the second. A lot of people when they talk about area and if they mention Area 52, this right here is Area 52, Tonopah test range. And this is probably even weirder than Area 51. Everything at Area 51 looks pretty much almost self-explanatory, except for when you get to Tonopah, it starts looking more... I mean, for one, I think it's a newer facility. It looks much newer. Like, the whole system, or the whole, like, runway system here, it looks, I think, kind of much nicer than Area 51. Everything looks a lot more neater. That being said, this is probably, I think this is where they're storing the F-117s now. At least a lot of the ones that they're not using anymore. Also, that weird, like, drone, looks like a B-2, but it's basically a drone. It's a smaller version. It's really only used for reconnaissance, I think. I can't remember what it's called. You'll have to help me out with that. But I think that a battalion works out of here. I think that's what I remember him saying about this particular place, which is considered Tonopah or Area 52, but I think it's Avon V2 or something like that. It's like, I don't think this is the original Tonopah, but this is basically Tonopah. And if they mention Area 52, it's what they mean. Now, is when you get down further, down near the gate, and I'm assuming these are living facilities, but this is got to be the most, like, look at this. I like how it's Walmart Road, Walmart Loop, but this is a place you can't go, because here's the main gate, right here, that no one really seems to care about a whole lot. I mean, it's main gate, got parking area. You can come in here, park your car, or walk in here to the security gate. Now, are you going to get in? Probably not. But, yeah, I mean, the only reason I say that, these are mostly like barracks and living facilities is just because they have these little, they got a little track over here. That's nothing, though, but they got these little tennis court. I'm assuming these are tennis courts. But that's about it. It's kind of very minimalistic over here. Doesn't look like they do a whole lot of stuff outside. Not that you really want to be outside. So if you notice, or the track over here, and then if you notice these 2 baseball fields, notice how they're being used, right? Might be for a reason. I don't know what secret government people do in their spare time. That is kind of a question, though. What do top secret government people do in their spare time? They sit and watch YouTube in their bed all day in these little very dystopian looking buildings. I don't know if you could see, but there's like a lot of parking spots here, right? If I go in closer, there's a lot of parking spots here with no cars in them. Like here's 2 vehicles here, I think. You got a few vehicles up over here. All your majority of vehicles are way out here. So it's like you got to park your car out here, walk in the security desk, walk all the way over here, I'm assuming, to go to this security shack. And then to get into the base, get this building. I'm assuming this is either security or admin or both. And you got all these other buildings. All these parking spots. And the majority of the traffic's actually down here, if anything. So, like, you got no one up here. So, like, they got all these buildings. They probably only really need to use, like, maybe, like, a block of these over here. Although, I don't know how big the rooms are. They could be regular, small barrack rooms. They could be, like, hotel-style rooms. Most likely, you don't have any windows. That's a running theme in this area. And if you look at some of the actual photos, so this guy, that's the security office at the gate. They obviously have windows there. But backing up, man, mostly internet exclusive. Photo of station 700. I think this shot here, I think these pictures here are the latest ones with a very, probably a decent sized telescopic lens. But like, if you notice the running theme with buildings on the base, there's no windows. Why are there no windows? You could probably come to your own conclusion. Even when you're on base, there's still secrets being kept from you. But, that being said, that's Google Maps. This website talked about how to move there. This one talks about the companies of Area 51. Obviously, the Boeing company. Obviously, Lockheed Martin, especially if they develop the SR-71 there. The Raytheon company, obviously. United Technologies Corporation and URS. Those are big ones. With the exception of URS, though. Now, we could read in on that, but, you know, if you go to, if you just type in Area 51, companies of Area 51, this would probably be the first thing that pops up. So, yeah. But this website right here is what is probably what you're going to want to pay attention to. This Nevada National Security Site. This is the website for the Nevada Test Range. Public information. Probably not always been that way, but definitely look, you can find them on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. this in and whatever these two dots are. I don't know. I'm not that young. But employment jobs across the NNSS. So you can go to USA Jobs. These are probably most likely going to be your contract jobs or admin jobs, as well as Mission Support and Test Services, MSTS of the Nevada National Security Site. In all actuality, I think when you click on them, it'll bring you up to this page, and then you can view for student programs here. But if you go over here to all jobs, so you can get a student gig going here. Hopefully it's a paid student gig. But over here, all right. So come on, load. All right, so here we got undergraduate science engineering internship, all levels. Kind of, I mean, Santa Barbara. So they do other work around other places. So this is going to be somewhere around the Southern California area, or at least around the Santa Barbara area. Here's the North Las Vegas rational data specialist. This is probably going to be at the airport or getting on the plane. Rational data scientist 1 and data scientist 2. Rotational engineer. This is definitely going to take you out to Area 51. Rotational engineer 1 and 2. So obviously, so if you read here, are you interested in some of the brightest talent in the world to strengthen the United States security? Come join the Nevada National Security Site, where our employees apply their expertise to create solutions for a high hazard and highly complex experiments that help us keep the planet safe. The Science and Technology Directorate is seeking early career engineers. Oh, just noticed my camera. Sorry about that. So, are you interested in some of the brightest talent in the world? Yada, yada, yada. Come down here. And you can come to this website and you look at more of it. I'll try to link some of these websites in the description of this video when I get around to it. But this right here, so Rational Engineer 1 and 2. So you look down here. All right, they have multiple positions are available across a spectrum of experience levels with benefits and requirements. I can't read this. Writing is small. Jesus. Anyway, available work locations distributed across Nevada, California, New Mexico. Headquarters in North Las Vegas. Experimental test range. There's the experimental test range, 65 miles northwest of Vegas. Nellis Air Force Base, North Las Vegas. Obviously there too. Santa Barbara, Livermore, Los Alamos, the physics place out there. Albuquerque. Key responsibilities. Yada yada. Nuclear weapon safety, performance assessment. Because they still do a lot of nuclear testing out there. So that's where they still build the nuclear weapons. They're still, I think a lot of that is mostly gone now. I don't know. They might still be making them out there. But this is more of a science and engineering job. But obviously this one is Area 51. Anything that you see with like Las Vegas or North Las Vegas is probably going to be. And so we got legal counsel. So obviously now that we've gone to that level, there's probably lawyers there. Project control specialist. Network manager. Cybersecurity analyst. And if you're interested in these jobs, hey, what's it going to hurt to, apply out here? Here's one at Mercury. They still have a a base. Now, that's still a working base there at Mercury. You get a Manager 2 position here. I think this is reported Director of Operations Assurance Division within the Mission Assurance Directorate. Yada, yada, yada. Big fancy words. Meaning you're going to be a boss of some people. Graduate Science Internship. That's at Andrews in Maryland. A statistician, distinguished member of the technical staff. Distinguished. Anyway, that's North Vegas. That's probably out there on the test range. There's another Mercury job for a supervisor. Another Mercury job for senior QC. Inspector. More rational data scientists. So, just whatever that job is. Science stuff. I don't know, maybe you will be taking apart UFOs. Or you're going to be working on planes. I mean, it's an Air Force base. Planes kind of makes a little bit of sense. And UFOs do make sense, too. I kind of like the term UFO. What are they calling them now? Like, autonomous, unidentifiable aircraft? Whatever the new term that the government listed. They're just trying to get away from the UFO tagline. Like UFO, instead of meaning just unidentified flying object, which could mean basically anything from a weather balloon to a 747. If you can't identify it, then it would be called a UFO. But yeah, R&D manager. So they're looking for someone out in Santa Barbara, actually, to be an R&D manager 3. Wow, look at that. Chief data officer. Be an even bigger boss. Be the chief data officer. Whatever that does. Another manager. That one was from Mercury again. Well, I'm looking for a lot of managers out at Mercury. I wonder what's going on out there, guys. You having a manager crisis or something? You fire a bunch of people lately? Or just a bunch of people retiring? That could be anything. Probably starting up another new project. Let's see. Principal Applications Analyst. Maximo Developer. That sounds something sciencey. And look, they've got literally dozens of them. So if you want a job at Area 51, man, right here, these are the people to talk to. Or even around the base, because I'm sure even working over at Tonopah might be interesting, You'd definitely be paid pretty well. And you might even get a pension out of the deal. Most definitely. If you're working for the government, you're definitely getting a pension. So, you're definitely getting paid, to be somebody called even a rational data scientist 1. Right? Probably entry level at that point. Or even the internship, which is mostly entry level. Even then, you're probably going to be getting paid pretty well. And if it's an internship at this place, it's probably going to open the door up to working there full time. So, obviously. But no, if you wanted to get a job there at Area 51, this is the website. careers-mts.icims.com. Don't tell them I send you. I don't want to be put on a list. And we've got some other things. We're going to skip over this guy here, go down here to Navarro. That's their environmental contractor. That being said, when I clicked on them the other day, there's like a bunch of weird technical jobs all over the place. So, I mean, they're a big government contractor. So I click on the About Us section here. They were established in, I'm assuming, 93. At least they were around in 93. Of course, they talk about corporate stuff, how they, yada, 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 all that fun stuff that companies spout about. But if we look over here to services, if I remember correctly, I think, yeah, they just clean up crap. So, like, environmental cleanup, considering the toxic waste that they had at the facility, that makes sense to bring in a contractor that specializes in that. So, groundwater treatment, probably trying to treat the water. I know Nevada, at least the good portions of rural Nevada, does have some issues with their water. I know up further north, when I lived there, there was an issue with a high arsenic content that no one seemed to really be bothered about, but yet they were bathing in it and drinking it and wondering why they did live past, 60. So, I don't know. Those things probably don't have any correlation whatsoever. But we're not going to talk about that. That's not what this video is about. This video is not about that at all. It's not about how the government's ruining the environment. Ruining our future. There's Nevada there, because if you look here, this picture here with the containers, that makes perfect sense. Because if you come out here, where am I at? Tonopah, that's right. And Antelope Peak, the old Mellon Airstrip, next to Mount Helen. And then you come Mercury. I think it's... No, it's not Mercury. It's... Crap. Here, let's look for it real fast. I know it's down here near the southern end. There's Mercury right here. So that's Mercury. That's the base there. And then you have the benches, the old benches that you could view it, the old Atomic Forest, Frenchman Flat. All that's right over here, just north of town of Mercury, which is was the base for testing of the nukes. So here's Indian Springs. If you look at Indian Springs and then you look where the airport is, if you go directly east on Google Maps, and look, here's this little container facility here. There we go. You notice that we got a lot of containers around, basic junk piles. This is part of the cleanup, They got to put it somewhere, and I guess temporarily put it in these containers and keep it away from everything, But they do nuclear, so they also do nuclear services as well. So probably the operation of nuclear facilities, radiological protection, engineering controls, yada yada yada. Facility management, just basic stuff like that, which makes sense. So, them being the environmental contractor for them, that's obviously what you're going to be doing. Are you going to be at Area 51? Probably. JGMS, that's the administrative support for the Nevada field office. And they're employee owned, so, hey. We can always check them out, see what administrative jobs we can get. A nice office job in the middle of the desert. God, can you imagine how, dystopian that would feel? I don't know if I could do that. To be stuck in an office somewhere, being part of a secret project, being in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if I'd really want that job, be honest with you. Oh yeah, because look how exciting some of those people are. Oh yeah. What do we do? Applied technology. So just basic, office stuff. Security, software development, cybersecurity. Applied engineering, stuff like that. Applied science, yada yada yada. Anyway, moving on. Back up here. These guys are interesting. And when I first clicked on, because when I first found this, I was like, this isn't Area 51. And then I was like, that's gotta be. If you click on SOC over here, at least that's what I've been calling them. They probably call themselves SOC, a Day and Zimmerman Company. So what do? Well, they do security. Now that you ask, they have some other weird stuff here about like architecture and engineering, other cleared staffing, more technical jobs. Obviously, if you're going to have a lot of technology in your company, you're going to want some techie people. That's that. Contract opportunities. Now, if you come here, you'll notice one thing. So they got maintenance opportunity, union opportunity. However, if you come here, if you click on contractor opportunities or defense and security, it's like the same thing. But let's just click on the security thing. Because I found a job here the other day. I kind of want to share with you. And I know I probably couldn't do it. But it's this job right up here at the very top. WPS admin job. Worldwide. So if you notice, none of them are going to say Nevada on it. So firearm instructor, simulator operator technician, worldwide. Administrative and logistics, worldwide. Site supervisor, worldwide. Here at WPS protection / guard. All these right. So if you come up here, field security technician, worldwide. Obviously, if they need you more places. But this is the contractor there at the base, as we see, is the SOC, is the Security Protective Force contractor for the NNSS, which is the Nevada National Security Site, which is the whole place all in itself. They wouldn't have two contractors. At least I wouldn't want to have two different contractors running security. You'd want one contractor doing the whole place. That way, the whole place is secured. You can keep areas that you want secured. All that. So, this is actually a very interesting job because it's a security technician position. It's a technician job. So, alright, what will you be doing? Well, SOC's trustable global provider in mission solutions with a history of assuring safe, effective operations for the U.S. government, commercial customers. SOC provide, or SOC, I'm just going to call them SOC now. SOC provides a guarantee of discreet and effective service so that customers can do their best work. We employ over 5,000 professionals engaged in the delivery of mission critical safeguards and security, facility management and operations, engineering, explosive ordnance and storage disposal, yada yada yada. Our customers include the U.S. Department of State, Energy and Defense, Fortune 500 companies, and non-governmental organizations. Pretty standard stuff. So what is this job? You will be responsible for installing, maintaining, and repairing and accounts for all technical communication security equipment, i.e. closed-circuit television cameras, CCTV, alarm system, and imminent danger notification systems, intrusion systems, and access control systems. All stuff we know as at Area 51. You'll be establishing and implementing maintenance plans, inventory, accountability systems, assisting with radio communication and encryption. That way, you can't just roll up with just a regular police scanner or just a regular radio wave scanner and listen to them. You can get around the encryption, but yeah, I wouldn't try it. Doing a lot of that stuff is kind of on the illegal side anyway. So don't do it. I am not condoning any acts or behavior like that. But you can apply for the job. I mean, apply buttons right up here. There's really nothing to prevent you, theoretically, from applying here. Now, are you going to be followed around by black helicopters if you just start applying for every single job at Area 51? They might notice that. I know I would. Wonder if that would be something, though. Apply for every single job for these companies. If you just keep applying. I challenge somebody to do that and record the experience. You know, at least just in parts, you know. Nice little diary, you know. Assists with the installation, maintenance, and repair of the Blue Force Tracker. And that's those Blue Force Trackers. That's that computer GPS networking system that you'll have a screen in your where you'll have like a screen in your like vehicle or wherever, and you'll have like a map of your area of operation. You'll have a map of your area of operation, and you can see where all your blue forces are. I think there's a few other things you can do, like you can put up where you think the enemy is or where you've seen the enemy, so that you know where everything is, more or less. That's what the Blue Force tracking is, and it's just basically just that system of GPS knowing where everyone is. Forces communication and SOPs, which is SOPs, Standard Operating Procedures. I don't know what the S stands for. I thought it was just SOP, but I guess it's called SOPs now. But maintenance accountability plans. Must be a U.S. citizen. This is the job where it kind of makes sense. You must be a U.S. citizen. A U.S. passport, driver's license required. Must possess a minimum of 5 years experience in installation, maintenance, repair of communications, electronic security equipment. Must possess a minimum of 1 year of overseas experience performing as a technical communication security equipment technician. Army, Marine, Air Force, Navy, any military position would probably get you that 1 year experience overseas. Must be a certified electronic technician, either military or civilian. So obviously they want you to have their certifications. Military discharge must be honorable. So if you have been in the military, I don't know if you need to be, but if you were, your discharge had to be honorable. Must be able to get and maintain a secret clearance. That right there ought to tell you that right off the bat. So this is... I kind of like how they had to add in the... this part down here. We expect this position will be included in the recent federal executive order and subsequent guidance requiring federal contractors and employers with more than 100 employees to implement a vaccine mandate. Oh, I thought this was the EOA. Oh no, that's down here. They don't have that, so obviously they can discriminate against you based on. I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah, no, they are an EOE. This is a new. All right, this is the COVID thing. This is the new thing. I thought this was the equal opportunity thing. I just didn't read it at first. But yeah, you must be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 upon containment of employee in accordance with the EO. Yeah, so it's legal mumbo jumbo with big giant words. That's a cool job, I would say. Nope. You know, I don't know about the technical aspect, but we can look at what do we got here? Security, domestic, that's Freeport, Texas. Oh, I don't even know what's in... You know what? I don't really care what's in Freeport, Texas. Oh, we'll go over here at jobs. You got locations. They don't have Nevada in here. But trust me, if you come down here... to, let's see, that's domestic security, shift lead, PSS paramedic, this one I think, protective security specialist. Alright, so this one, which I like some of these names for some of these jobs, like protective security specialist. You're a PSS for WPS protection / guard underneath that thing. So basically it's the same giant paragraph as before, yada yada yada, we do stuff. But responsibilities, perform day-to-day personal protective security functions, drive the lead vehicle, principal's vehicle, follow. So basically, you know, just this is protective. This is more on the protective side. But this kind of shows you some of their qualifications for that. So citizen, have a passport, must have 3 years of applicable experience. A minimum of a 1 year experience must include experience in the protective security assignments. This is time deployed to a combat zone. Alright. Now that's interesting. You know, because, I mean, obviously, if, you know, when you see protective security specialist, they kind of make it fun, especially when they talk about up here, lead vehicle, principal's vehicle, follow vehicle. You know, that kind of makes it sound like you're protecting, like, the principal's vehicle, like you're protecting whoever you're supposed to be protecting. So, whoever you're supposed to be protecting, that's who it is. But, down here, in a combat zone. This is time deployed to a combat zone. Which I'm sure that there are people that go over there and you have to protect them in the combat zone. Experience that may be gained in the employ of any national, state, provincial, local, or commercial entities providing armed, high-threat protective services that require skills similar to those identified in the PSS training course as outlined in SOW Attachment 2. Excuse me about that, but I don't even know. I haven't even seen that yet. I mean, I guess you'd have to actually be halfway accepted into this in order to get that. That was, look, canine handler guard. They don't even have a location for that. They just want one. Firearm instructor for no location. Now, I mean, worldwide could mean everywhere. And a lot of and this is the one website, this is the one contractor's website anyway, that I've noticed in the past week, jobs have changed quite a bit. So, you know, they're hiring people, or firing people. Hiring and firing people. They look at being an armorer, work in the armory. Be a supervisor. Guard shift supervisor. I think one of the jobs I read, I don't see it anymore now, but site supervisor, designated defensive marksman. That sounds interesting. That sounds more interesting than someone who works in the armory. Alright, this one. Alright. Responsibilities. Perform personal protective service detail assignments. Responsibilities can include perform as long-range defensive marksman. Act as a member on emergency response team. ERT. Carries and operates weapons as specified in daily post and detail orders or upon orders from a detail leader or shift lead. Driving the lead vehicle, auto, aircraft, boat, principal's vehicle, or follow vehicle whenever required in motorcade or similar operations. maintaining protective formation position, driving during principal's walking movements. Yada yada yada, participating in advanced security preparations, manning the security post and principal's residence or manning command post as required. Alright, so a lot of the worldwide jobs, it's mostly probably just, a very consolidation. Mostly you're going to be somebody's henchman. So these are the henchmen. This is the henchman company right here. Forget old Blackwater security. All right, those guys were trash. All right, and even now, whatever their company is called now, the latest one I knew was Academy. I think that was what Blackwater's used to be, or Academy is the old Blackwater. Kind of makes them look like a bunch of, you go and look at their jobs, like, yeah, they look like they have a lot of security guard jobs. This is the only, military contractor out there that, they're not really outright saying that you're a soldier or a henchman, but, in the, what was that? But just your basic, man with gun job. But this is a man with sniper rifle. Because if we look down here to qualifications, must be a U.S. citizen. I like U.S. passport and a U.S. state driver's license is required. Because there was one job I looked on here where it said you must be able to drive. Must be able to have the knowledge to operate a motor vehicle. I think that's what it said. Which I thought it was kind of funny. It's like, because the first thing the first thing on that list was you got to be able to know how to drive. And I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. It's like, you got to know what a car is. Must attend and successfully complete a sniper DDM sharpshooter program issued by military, law enforcement, or security, governmental or commercial training program. The sniper DDM's program must be suitable, complex, quality, bunch of words that kind of just basically means we want you to be good. Anyway, some examples of that include, but are not limited to, U.S. Marine Corps Scout Sniper School, the U.S. Army Sniper School, U.S. Special Forces Sniper School, formerly SOTIC, Federal Bureau of Investigation Hostage Rescue Team, Special Weapons and Tactics Team, Diplomatic Security Service, Mobile Security Division, and the National Tactical Officers Association, recognized law enforcement sniper course, yada yada yada, must provide evidence of a minimum M4 qualification score of 95%. That's like 285 out of 300 with iron sights. 95%. Jesus, man. Alright. Or better on the DS qualification course. So, yeah, alright, so that's that. Qualification must be the candidate's most recent M4 qualification and have been performed within the last 90 days. Yeah. So, qualification must be the candidate's most recent M4 qualification. Have been performed within the last 90 days. Candidate shall maintain this qualification level with the M4 throughout contract performance. Must possess a minimum of 3 years applicable experience, minimum of 2 years experience with as a sniper. Yada yada yada. Candidates claiming military experience must have a sniper military occupational specialty (MOS) or additional skill identifier. If claiming law enforcement experience for this requirement, must be full-time, not as collateral duty. Experience may be gained in the employ of any national, state, yada yada yada. So, yeah, that's that one. Let's see, what's the... Oh, Israel. But yeah, that's out of Virginia? Like, this has got to be the weirdest website ever, because, I don't know why they just don't put worldwide. with the exception of maybe these jobs. These look like just domestic security positions. So, and you're probably going to be an armed security officer doing this anyway. You're an armed rental cop. So, you're a rent-a-soldier. Or a rent-a-cop, depending on what you apply for. Indoor range manager. Alright, so we already looked at this one, I think. The PSS. Guard shift supervisor, GSS. Integration and training instructor. Right, so this is what you'll be doing. This is what you need. You need at least a minimum of 6 years of military service as an officer or senior NCO. That's E6 or above. Or 6 years of similar senior police, local guard force supervisory experience. But I highly doubt that if you worked for, I guess it used to be Allied Security, but I think it's Seymour Security Group now. But if you're just like some regular security officer, I'd say maybe try to go on a better website, or go find, like, you obviously might not be able to get a job here. That's what I'm saying. You might. But yeah, no, this is SOC. These are the camo dudes. Because, like, even though there's no job here that actually outright says it, obviously for all these jobs here, a good majority of them, at least I know with the field security technician, there is a level of you need a secret clearance. So obviously the most stringent job probably at the top is probably going to be the Area 51 gig. More than likely. So that is SOC from the Nevada National Security Site. So if you want to get a job there, these guys are the ones you want to talk to. So yeah, go for it. Alright. That probably wraps it up for this video. A master technologist. I could look at some of these jobs all day. Just scientist 2. I like that one. Safety specialist. Senior scientist. Los Alamos. These are Mercury and some of these are Vegas. So they are looking for work. And they actually are advertising for it. Now, whether or not you actually get a phone call out of that, that's all up to you. But no, this is a nuclear facility operations specialist. I mean, that's Mercury. Technical writer, Mercury. Talent acquisition manager 2. But even going up here to scientist, principal scientist. That's Santa Barbara. It was down this one, scientist 2. Here, that's Las Vegas. That's probably at the base. Or it's located at the remote sensing laboratory. Located on Nellis. Alright, so that's on Nellis. That's not. So I'm assuming North Las Vegas. This one here, communication specialist. I'm assuming this is I'm assuming this is Area 51. So everything that says North Las Vegas, you're probably, or maybe not Area 51, but you're going out there to the test range anyway. So, like, this communication specialist 2, historian. This is a casual position working a maximum 900 hours per calendar year. Escort general public and program tours to National Security Administration, Nevada Field Office, info facilities. Drive 15-passenger van or minibus. Assist with coordination of logistics such as water, lunches, etc. Meet Visitors at pickup location stated on itinerary. Just basic. All right, so you're just a tour guide. You're very properly named communication specialist, not tour guide, but a historian communication specialist. I think that's what we're calling them now. Or you can work at the big fucking nuclear operations explosives facility. Or no, what is it? Oh, it's on here somewhere. I know where kind of roundabouts it is. I just can't remember exactly where. I think you gotta look for the one field right over here, right here. So, see Stan Crater, Ice Cap, Apple 2 House. You keep zooming in. I think it's this place here. So here's... Alright, so here, right here, is this place. You look at Apple House 2, not the brick one, Regional K, Ice Cap. Kind of triangulate your position. But if you go up here, where Ice Cap is, you come up here just northwest. Kind of zoom in on that. Boom, you get the Big Explosives Experimental Facility, or BEEF. I mean, it's promptly named. I mean, come on. You can't get any more public about it, about what you do there. You know, outside of, you know, busing people you don't want in there. Somewhere around up here to the north is just another small little, kind of a funny thing that I saw, and I was like, alright, that was a little funny. Oh, it's up here somewhere. And it was something I saw, and I'm like, ooh, what is this? What are they hiding up here? And then you looked at it, and I was like, oh. But then it got a laugh out of me. And for the life of me, I can't find it anymore. It's somewhere out here. I think it's got to be out here in the... Alright. Right here. It's out here in the test range itself. In the bomb zone. Or, I guess the old bomb zone. They might not. But here is giant target. What is giant target, you say? Well, if you zoom in on it, it kind of becomes a little bit more clear, and it's just kind of just funny how it's labeled on here for one, but also what it is, which is a giant target. There's no real secret there. It's just, I'm assuming at one point, you know, they were probably shooting at it, or maybe they're getting ready to shoot at it. I could see them taking a bulldozer out and just kind of, or a grader of some kind, and creating a big giant target. I just like how, you know, it is pretty big, but I like how straight the line is. Like, that had to have been planned out. So, this whole area is just fascinating. Just like the different rock in here. You get some of that more reddish rock. You know, like you'd see, you know. And you get this, the lighter colored here mixed in with this just beautiful contrast. That's what it is. It's just a beautiful part of the country. And it is a shame that they're just blowing the hell out of it. Because, I mean, that is a good, good chunk of the state that is just uninhabitable. Just out of the sheer fact is the government doesn't want you to be there. And I mean, look at all these roads and whatnot. They just go around to random buildings and random sites all throughout the place. Every time you see one of these 90-degree angles, just imagine what is there. Like, why are they, you know, they got a lot of roads. So it's very plausible what, especially 15 miles south, which I think I measured it out earlier. I think 15 miles south is like, it's like down here. If we have the tools, if I remember on, see, he mentioned like, although one time I think he mentioned 10 miles. He wasn't so sure where it was. So, Lincoln County, Nevada. When I click on directions, can I get a distance measurement? I know I can do it on the mobile phone very easily. I know where that part of the menu is at. Is it in no, it's not. It shouldn't be in terrain or anything. What happens if I want... That's the starting point. I need to measure distance. Oi. Magic. Drag to reorder. Or click on the map. Really. Alright, so the facility I think S4 is at least the only real thing that's somewhat south, and that could possibly be confused to south, because Bob Lazar could have definitely... they could have got him in like a van, or I forget what it was, either, I think he mentioned a bus or somewhere. They could have definitely disoriented him in a vehicle in the desert, either if it was south or what he thought was south of the base. And technically it is south of the base, and the distance traveled here could be 15 miles. But it's this place here, hidden in the mountains, not even really near the, probably not, well, it might be near the top, but definitely over the mountains in this mountain range. And it's just really, like, it's so weird because the camera looks, just everything about this shot right here just screams out. Like, you've got this old render up here, and it's just terribly rendered. But then what's underneath it's just not as any better, but it looks more fuzzy. It definitely looks more blurry. Like, the whole Area 51 base, when you looked at that, it was crystal clear. You look here, it's all blurry and fuzzy. Now, that would make sense if you were to hide something. If you keep zooming in, you look. Now, you can't really make out a whole lot. And, of course, convention will tell you, oh, it's just some antennas. Right, but that's only part of what we're seeing. Like, we got buildings, we got, like, actual, like, buildings here. I mean, they're not big, but there's got to be something else here, because here's this, like, defined, what looks like a defined line. Right here. Now, air to air is 8 miles. This route has a restricted usage or private roads. Let's take a look at the details on that. So, it's 8 miles. Via air, I think it's 2.3. So, it's not recognizing the fact that here's a road here. So, obviously, but if it's 8 minutes here, and this is 2.3 miles. Okay. This whole route, and then here. Why wouldn't it have you go the other way? Because this way looks like it'd probably be the easiest way, considering the fact that you don't have to go off-road. You can just stay on a road. Now, how that road is beyond me. Nevada's a very weird state, where the county road goes from being paved to being dirt, to being a mine haul road, to staying dirt, and then getting progressively worse until you get to Route 50. And that's that road that goes from Beowawe down through, oh crap, I can't think of it now. Now I'm getting distracted. That's a distraction. So, but this is, I like how it's like Lincoln County School District, and I'm like, that is not the school district. Like, what? Lincoln County School District? I mean, it's the base. So, but we could probably move it further down. So, it doesn't want me to. Alright. But anyway, looking around for S4 is going to be very difficult, considering there's just not really a whole lot going south. I mean, like, I've looked all in this whole area. I could barely make out a road, and then when I find this road, and that's why I said earlier that they just probably wouldn't put anything here. If anything, S4 could have been moved. So, Bob Lazar could have been telling the truth, but, you know, it's that little zone is not the only place that they've blurred out. They've kind of censored some part of this, you know, whole area. And like I said, there are chunks of, you know, there are more secure. Mouse is moving. There are more secure military bases around. Like, it's not just Area 51. The only reason Area 51 started to become a real big secret is because they just didn't want to. They just didn't want the Soviets seeing what they were building. I think this right down here is probably the most interesting place. I think, anyway. This is that, like, abandoned ghost town. Oh, yeah, Dogbone. The model test city. Dogbone Lake. That is, like, an eerie place. Because I think, not the real place, but I think, like, a mock-up of it was in the recent remake of The Hills Have Eyes. Not the second one, but the first one. This is that is what that little abandoned town that they had, that the mutant people had. This is basically what that town was kind of modeled after. So, like, all the abandoned, weird suburbia in the middle of the desert, and, like, dummies everywhere. Like, if you click on it, obviously it doesn't have any pictures. You'd figure a place like this would have 1,000 pictures from all sorts of people. You know. Of course, then again, that might be why that Area 51 is looking for a tour travel agent, I guess. So you could take people out here. Because, I mean, you know, you go here, it does look like there are, you know, it does look like it's kind of being kept up. It doesn't really, like, I mean, I know I'm only looking at it from out from space, from a satellite that Google had, looking down on a very vague, you know, but that's that place. I think there's another one in New Mexico. What is that, White Sands? I want to say it's White Sands. I did actually a whole project on Area 51 in high school. So, like, the website that we looked at, I'm very familiar with this one. I wasn't so familiar with, like, some of the 2019 photos. But, like, well, this is, I mean, 2011. Like, 2011, that's here. But, like, there's other, what black projects does he have on the website? This guy's also very weird. He just does not like his content on other websites. So, you keep that in mind, because, like, every single thing I think is, like, copyrighted, which I thought was kind of messed up. But then again, I almost want to say maybe he's working for the government, especially if, like, all these pictures are copyright. Now, he's mentioned on his website a few times that he had been raided. I do have kind of a issue with this. Does the FBI really want to shut him down? Now, he was actually taking some of these photographs, and he was collecting them in a whole area, so that there is probably some stuff that you should take with a grain of salt when it comes to looking at some of these pictures. But, you know, help him fight the First Amendment right. GoFundMe. If you want to go ahead and donate to his page, I'm not going to stop you. Also, at the same 44 users online, which is weird considering the fact that there's not really any like, if you look over here, the latest updates. Last thing was 11/6/22. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but it's just a exercise they're running, red flag exercise. So, yeah, and it's just realistic aerial war games, yada yada yada. So fun. I don't know. Like I said, I lived out here in this whole area for, oh crap, I think it was almost over 2 years. Not this area, obviously way up here in northern Nevada, up here in this area here, to not give away where I was living. Like this big chunk is kind of where I was at, this circle here. So not really close to Rachel in the grand scheme of things, considering as well it was like, what, a 6-hour car drive down to Vegas, if that. Like, probably more than that, depending on how, like, so depending on how you would go, the best way I think for us would have been going down 93 all the way down to Hyco, because I would never even have, you know, the car I had was not one for mountains, which is weird considering the fact that I bought it when I first moved to town in the mountains. Probably the reason why it was so cheap. She was not a climber. She was not a fast car by any. Now I'm just getting distracted. But, I mean, Area 51 has always fascinated me, and just all these dry lake beds around here, what you could do with them, you know, like, there's some of the flattest surfaces out there, but you got to be careful with some of them because they can be a little briny. I know there was one dry lake bed, I want to say it was over here, this one. It's really slimy during the spring and summer. I guess when the big thaw would come and it would might melt the ice pack off the mountaintops. And a lot of the area and the surrounding, going into the Humboldt River, would flood pretty bad. But I just remember that particular lake just being mucky. Like, it looked dry and flat. The moment you step on it, it was slimy. You'd start to sink down slowly. It was not a great experience. Because, you know, it also smells bad. Like, you know, if you go out to the Great Salt Lake, you know, especially along 80, which is probably the straightest part of this road. But, like, I remember there's, like, the one rest area here, people, and you could see them when they get out of their cars. I think it's not the Tree of Life sculpture. There's, like, really nowhere to pull over. That's kind of a shame. But here it is. I think here it is. But, yeah, the rest area. All sorts of people get out of their cars and then walk in. But you're, like, right here by the ponds. You know, like, I mean, yeah, the racetrack's here, but you also have all these ponds down here to the south. And I remember at one point, this whole area was, like, flooded for the longest time. It was just, all of this area was just full of water. Because you see here the different stages. I forget what they're going for out here. I can't even remember. I want to say it's regular salt, but I'm probably wrong, because there's plenty of those places closer to the Salt Lake. But this is, you know, not Area 51. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking through that video for me. Be sure to hit that like, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell for more videos, and I would very much just thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.